Welcome to Rewatch and Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other. Today's episode is Grey's Anatomy Season 3, Episode 12, Great Expectations. Episode in a nutshell is a brief reminder of what happened in the episode. So, as always, we'll start with the main patients of the episode. The first patient is a man who basically participated in a marathon while he had a cold. He took aspirin, didn't drink enough water, and as a result of that, his entire body started to shut down. His kidneys started failing, his limbs started swelling, and they had to take a bunch of measures in order to save his life, all because he decided to push himself beyond what his body's limits would have been. As Callie mentions, he would have felt the effects far before he actually stopped himself, and he was so competitive that he pushed himself too far. The second patient is named Jillian Miller, and she left the Amish community with her friend who was shunned, though she herself wasn't shunned and had the opportunity to go back. She found out that she had cancer a while ago, but she couldn't afford treatment for it, and now her friend Rachel has dragged her to the hospital, essentially because she started to notice that something's wrong with Jillian. And they basically find out that the cancer is stage 4 and it cannot be cured. And after Izzy meets Jillian's parents and speaks to Jillian, who mentions that she wants to go home, but she had promised Rachel she wouldn't, Izzy then speaks to Rachel, who then decides to let her go home. And ultimately, she leaves to die Amish. Then we have the drama of the episode, which is honestly the main bulk of the episode, and that is starting with Richard, who's preparing to retire. He goes to meet with the board and puts in his formal wanting to retire, and this sends all of the attendings, Derek, Burke, Addison, and Sloane, into a bit of a frenzy, trying to make their case for why they should be chief of surgery. Sloane, who was previously going to quit, now wants to stay. And Richard then goes to tell Adele that he's finally done what she asked for, but when she answers the door, he realizes that she's with somebody else now, and she tells him that she warned him months ago that she had no more time to give him, and that still holds true, and she basically shuts the door in his face. Then we have Meredith and Derek have a bit of a fight, but not really. Basically, she tells Sloane about the chief retiring because she didn't know it was a secret. Derek then comes and yells at her that because of her, Mark's not leaving now. But then at the end of the episode, they do make up, and because it was such a minor fight, it barely registered, but it did happen. Then we have Addison and Alex kissed at the end of the last episode. This episode confirms that it was just the emotions getting the better. There's no relationship there, and Alex does make it clear that he does not want to be with her and is upset with her for avoiding him and therefore leaving him out of surgeries that he would rather have been doing. And as it's affecting professionally, he asks her to stop avoiding him, which she does end up doing by the end of the episode. Christina and Burke are still not talking throughout most of the episode. However, by the end of the episode, Christina does give in and does talk to him. And after she gives in and talks to him, Burke proposes to her, though we don't get an answer in this episode. Then we have George. He's been dealing with his father's death by spending a lot of time being intimate with Callie, to the point where she's running scared. But by the end of the episode, he reveals that, since losing his dad, he's felt empty and terrible, and it's only when he's with her that he feels better because he loves her, and then he proposes to her. But once again, we don't get an answer at the end of this episode. And then the last bit of, well, not even drama, but event that occurred within the episode is we have Bailey wanting to open a free clinic And she spends most of the beginning of the episode running around after all the attendings trying to get their support. They refuse it. She goes to Richards, accusing him of sending her on a wild goose chase, and he tells her that she's going to be the chief one day. She can't be right now, but in a few years, it's going to be her. That's what her destiny is in the surgical field, and that he didn't send her on a wild goose chase, but sent her to try to gather support to get used to doing things without him there. And this then leads to her confronting the attendings, basically demanding they sign the support for the free clinic. And then she finishes her day, and Izzy's in the same room, and Izzy asks her about the free clinic, and she basically says she has the support, she just needs the funding. And this is when Izzy realizes that she can create the Denny Duquette Memorial Clinic with the $8 million that he left her, and that can be the something good that it goes towards that she's been waiting for. And so that is where this episode ends, and everything that was memorable and important that happened in it. So now we will rank the episode, and as always, we'll be ranking on our mostly objective ranking list, followed by the personal ranking list. And on our mostly objective ranking list, we have 1 point each for our single episode supporting characters, and that was Rachel, Jillian Miller, her parents, which I'm counting with Jillian, and then Steve Beck, so 3 points total. Then we have the supporting relationship development, which is worth 2 points, and that's Callie and George renewing their intimacy from the last episode, and then George telling Callie that he loves her finally, unprompted, something that he wouldn't say before because he didn't truly feel it, and now he believes that he does feel it, and that she makes him feel better, not even just being intimate, but even if she just walks into a room, he feels better. And then George proposes to Callie. Then we have +3 for the successful emotional impact, and this is where the bias may come in, but I find parent-child stories to be incredibly touching, more so than a lot of other types of drama. And so the story between Jillian and her parents, and how she had such a strong friendship with her best friend that she promised cradle to grave with, that she left everything that she ever knew behind, but now is returning to her parents and her community so that she can die with them, which is what she truly wants. And then Rachel being willing to give up her best friend because she understands that that's what she wants. And like the parents coming despite their beliefs, like using a plane to come get her, and obviously showing like love towards her. And even at the end, the mom stopping the shunning just enough to tell Rachel that she's going to tell her parents that, she saw her and that she's a fine woman, and so on and so forth. I just found it very touching, so I think it's worth 3 points for that successful emotional impact. Then we have the multi-season main character developments, which are worth 4 points, and there's a few of them. We have Bailey wanting to open the free clinic, Izzy donating $8 million to the clinic, Richard announcing his retirement, each of those worth 4 points. Then yet more 4 points for our main relationship development, which of course is Christina finally giving in and talking first to Burke, though she does make sure to open with, "I wasn't wrong," but she then says that she's in it for the long haul, and so even though she doesn't think she was wrong, she's going to talk first, so on and so forth. And then once she speaks to him, Burke then proposes to her. And those are the positive points, which are a lot of positives, so probably a very high ranked episode, obviously. But there are still some negatives, and we're going to start with supporting relationship regression or breakup, and that's Alex's formal Alex's formal rejection of Addison, -2 points, and then -2 points for Callie has doubts about George, and the fact that since his dad died, they haven't really been talking or communicating, rather just being intimate with each other, and to the point where she's actually in pain from it and somewhat traumatized and starts avoiding him and trying to shove other people at him to try to help him feel better. But again, by the end of the episode, they have resolved that, and George is proposing and saying he loves her. And then we have a -3 points for the main relationship regression or breakup. And Richard believed that Adele's ultimatum was ongoing. Now he finds out after fulfilling that ultimatum that it wasn't ongoing. It was a one-time offer, and because he rejected it then, he's lost out, and Adele does not take him back and slams the door in his face. So that happened. But ultimately, with all of those points being considered, we are at 13 out of 10, which then does leave this as a 10 out of 10 episode. And that brings our mostly objective ranking to in first, Where the Boys Are, Don't Stand So Close to Me. This episode comes in third, Great Expectations, and it is third because when more than one episode has the same score, they are ranked in episode order. Then we have Let the Angels Commit, I Am a Tree, Time Has Come Today, Oh the Guilt, Staring at the Sun, From a Whisper to a Scream, 6 Days, What I Am, and Sometimes a Fantasy. Then we come to the personal ranking, and I'm going to keep this brief. I already said most of what I wanted to say in the mostly objective ranking, but because of the emotional impact, because the drama was entertaining, because we got major milestones for the relationships that are currently ongoing, less Meredith and Derek, who just had a minor fight and were like a blip on the radar, as I mentioned before, and I didn't dislike absolutely anything about this episode, I decided to give it a 10 because I don't have anything negative to say, and everything that was in there was great. So that puts this episode in first place for this season so far, Great Expectations, followed by Don't Stand So Close to Me, 6 Days, Where the Boys Are, From a Whisper to a Scream, Staring at the Sun, Let the Angels Commit, I Am a Tree, What I Am, Sometimes a Fantasy, Time Has Come Today, and Oh, the Guilt is in last place for me. Then we come to our series ranking so far, and once again we have Season 1 in first place, Season 2 in second, and then in third place, or rather pending a final score, we have Season 3 with 71 out of a possible 230. Then on the personal side, Season 2 is in first place, Season 1 in second, and then Season 3 so far has a score of 92 out of a possible 230. And with that, we've now rewatched and ranked Grey's Anatomy Season 3, Episode 12, Great Expectations. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.